All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the vlog. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for pressing play. I greatly appreciate your attendance. Look, on today's episode, we're going to go over and see if you can afford a Z06. Now, to be perfectly honest, this doesn't have to be for a Z06. It could be for any vehicle or almost any expensive thing that you want. So I'm going to basically just go over the things that I do to determine whether or not there is something that I want to purchase. So let's just get right into it. So to be perfectly honest, it's about really budgeting things. It's about going over every particular thing that you have and need and making a determination on whether or not it's something that you can afford. So on my personal budget, I have my budget categorized in 3 different sections. Section 1 is life. Section 2 is living, and section 3 is lane. And let me break down each section for you. Life are things that you cannot do without. So we're looking at mortgages, rent, roof over your head, basically type of thing, utilities that come along with that, as well as other necessities that you have to have just to have basic life needs met. So that's that section. That section is really not going to go anywhere, and it's going to almost always be the same. So then you have living. Living, I even also budget, extracurricular things that I want to do, whether it's a date night or vacations. If I have it planned out far enough, then I can, of course, strategize on how I want to accomplish said goal of a vacation and how much I want to spend even on said vacation. And I'll also throw some miscellaneous in there too, because sometimes things do come up and happen and you just never know. So I kind of throw a little something in there as well, just in the event that something happens. And then there is lane. Lane is a part of my budget that I can completely control. That's where your credit cards go, any loans that you have that you have taken out. Those are bills that are going to basically disappear. Now, Lavetta Marie kind of falls up underneath lane. And I'll go into that a little bit more later. And any vehicle that you're looking to purchase will go also under that section, because that is a section in which you're going to be able to control. Okay, so now that you understand the 3 categories that I use when it comes to budgeting, let's really go over the lane section. Like I said, this is a section that you're going to have complete control over. And when I mean complete, I do mean complete. Now, back in the day, I had no idea, because of course that wasn't taught back in school. You had to learn through life lessons on how credit cards really work. So I was one of those people, and we all have done it at some point or another, that just ran it up, and I was like, oh, I can afford the monthly note, it's no big deal, etc., etc. But then, of course, I got to the realization one day that I was spending way more than I had to for anything that I used that credit card for. So when it came down to it, I made a determination that I need to pay way more than the minimum balance because I wanted to get rid of it. So when the C8 Corvette was announced in July of 2019, I took a very good hard look detailed over my lane section of my budget. And it was announced in July, and I can't remember when you were able to first put your deposit down, but I did mine sometime in early September. Can't remember the date. I'll show up here the date, but I can't really remember the date. But nevertheless, it was September 2019. They announced the vehicle at $60,000, and I was like, oh, that's freaking awesome. So I looked at my lane budget, and it consists of 3 credit cards and a loan. And I said, okay, how can I get rid of this and then replace it with a car note? Because I was already paying way more than the minimum. So in doing so, this is what I was paying per week right here. This is right before Lavetta Marie. And I looked and saw, oh, okay, well, this is exactly how much I'm paying per week anyway. Let me go to a financial calculator and see what is it that I can afford as far as a monthly note. So I ran all those numbers, as you can see right here, and this is what I had came up with. And then I also looked at the financial calculator, and it said that this is how much I could afford paying the exact same amount for a car. Well, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have some kind of relief in there as a backup plan, because I'll go into that a little bit further here in a second. But as a backup plan, I wanted to have some relief, so I didn't want to completely eliminate these 4 bills or these bills. I didn't want to completely eliminate these bills and just replace them with the exact same bill, but just for something different. So once I saw that I could afford this amount of car, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna do that. That would be stretching way too much. So I scaled it down, built out Lavetta Marie, and determined that I did not want to go over $80,000 for a car. I thought that was fair, good number. It gives me some financial relief. And this is what it was saying that my car note would probably be if I did it with no money down. So I said, okay, let's do a little something different. Now, this was the good part about it taking so long for Lavetta Marie to come in, because those 19 months I was able to have all kind of great financial security because of it on the wait. So I'm sitting there waiting, paying off these bills that I say that were lame. And then once that was done, it allowed me to do a couple of different things, because every car is really a liability. Unless you're one of those great collectors and have tons of cars that you're just really kind of letting sit up and try to appreciate in value as they become antiques, etc., etc. To be perfectly honest, every car that the regular normal person has, it's a liability. Typically, when we purchase a car, the second we drive it off of the lot, it depreciates by 30%. Now, that's the way I looked at it. I did not know that this car was going to turn into the phenomenon that it did, but it did. And in doing so, it actually increased in value. But let's just go with regular numbers here, or what's the norm? The norm is that the car depreciates in value by 30%. So that makes it a liability. So I then came up with a plan to try to start an asset in order to pay for my liability. We all have hidden talents somewhere, every last one of us. The question becomes, can we market that talent to make money off of it? And I believed I could. So in doing so, right after I did the deposit, I started doing research on opening my own business. Got my LLCs together, got my tax credit together, etc. But nevertheless, I didn't open. Trying to do too many things at one time, etc. But that's okay. I had a backup plan. So in not opening, I wasn't able to create an asset to pay for my liability. And I remember, I'm thinking that this car is not going to appreciate in value as much as it does the second you get it. The second you drive off the lot with it, it goes up. Some people made $10,000 to $40,000 over what they paid for the car just because they had the car. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please forgive me. I ran into some technical difficulties and I had to do some re-editing. Nevertheless, as people began to get their C8 Corvettes, they began posting that they were paying about $1,000 a month on their car note. So I started planning for that same $1,000. $1,000 a month comes out to about $230 a week. And I was paying already $421 a week, so I thought $230 was freaking phenomenal. You know, as I mentioned earlier in the video, that it took 19 months for my C8 Corvette to come in. And that was actually a blessing in disguise. Because what I did was I took those first few months of those 19 months and I paid my credit utilization down to zero, virtually eliminating my lame category of my budget. So then I had $421 per week that I had of extra money. Well, remember, my business didn't open, so I came up with my backup plan and implemented it. I took that $421, I took that $230 and I put it to the side in case I needed additional funds for financing. The remaining $191 I put into a Webull account for investments. Now, you don't have to use Webull. You can use Acorn, you can use Robinhood, you can use either one of those that makes it easiest for you. Now, to further break down that $230, I think it comes down to about $32 or $33 per day. And if I look at my profit and loss margins on my Webull account, it shows that I am making well over that amount per day on that account. Now, investing wasn't something that came easy to me. However, I have a 23-year-old advisor who's well on his way to becoming a millionaire simply say this: if you're trying to stay safe in the market, then invest into index funds and ETFs. And when I tell you, if you're not familiar with either one of those, definitely look them up. They're very user friendly. In addition to that, he said if you're going to invest in individual stocks, invest in companies in which you're already a customer of. For example, I'm recording this video on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which means I am an Apple customer. It just makes sense to invest into Apple. I've adopted that philosophy in several other categories in my life, which includes my cellular carrier, as well as a food distributor that distributes food to several restaurants in which I frequent. In doing so, I've looked at my profit and loss margins and noticed that I'm making well over my car note every day. Now, the earlier you invest in the market, the better. Now, earlier in this video, you saw me use terms between 48 and 84 months for the loan. However, I never worry about the terms for any auto loan because I always pay off early. For example, I own a C5 Camaro as well. I financed that C5 Camaro for 60 months, however, was able to pay it off in 35 months because I increased the frequency in which I paid, as well as adding additional principal. That made the terms of the loan a total non-factor. Now, Green State Credit Union offers a wonderful calculator that shows you how you can pay off a loan a lot faster by just making them bi-weekly payments. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's basically my budget breakdown. That's how I do my affordability of anything that I really want to purchase, whether it's a Z06, a Stingray, or Sierra. So still stays tuned for Sierra because she's coming. It's just that's a way longer process than ordering a C8 Corvette. Nevertheless, if you have any questions or comments, please comment down below. I greatly appreciate you watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification so you can be notified. And let's share this video because those are the budget ideas that work for me. It may work for somebody else. You may be able to take a little bit from it and then tweak it to work for you a little bit better. But if you have any questions, like I said before, comment down below, and I'll see you on the next video.